I think we're on me at the beginning of this show. I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad I'm here to welcome you to Live from the Bunker in Fidelis building. It's not my building, but welcome.
A thing my dad always says is better than the alternative.
What is that?
It's like when you say, "Hey, how you doing?" Well, I'm alive. Better than the alternative.
It feels like the older I get, the more I want to make those kinds of comments.
I hope my dad's watching. That'd be so cool.
I don't know that my mom or dad knows about this yet. Maybe I should let them know. We'll get at least one viewer.
We'll get
One more
at
viewer.
least one more IP address.
Yeah, yeah.
My dad would probably hold a watch party. He'd like invite his friends over.
That'd be
Here's
so
the
great.
nachos.
Sam and the boys
Sam and the boys.
watching Live from the Bunker. I love it.
The boys are like the people who like his plumber. It's like it's just all the people who service his house.
We got the yard guy, the plumber,
Got nachos.
the electrician, the roof salesman. We know lots of roofers that are trying to sell stuff, so they're probably just hanging out.
One change we have this week is we got Macy mic'd up.
Oh,
So
Heyo.
live stream with Macy.
That's my intro.
she can correct our mispronunciation of Gen Z musicians.
Yeah, well, if we ever made one. Okay, I have a topic to talk about today.
Oh,
As I'm supposed to, right? Like I prepare some things.
Yeah.
I come to the game prepared.
I also prepare after you prepare.
Yeah.
The way this goes is TK sets the map. I add some thoughts. Yeah,
Because we're diligent people.
this is it. This is it.
Here's what I was thinking about this week. All right, I wanted to go through some misunderstandings. You and I both find ourselves in different arenas at different fields, but we essentially are both in the creative industry.
Hmm.
Right? So, this might be a two-part series, I don't know. But this one, I wanted to go through some common misconceptions of creative industry. Like when you as a buyer are buying creative services, this is what I want to do. Like,
You want to head off the idea of, hey, do me a logo.
absolutely. And also, I want to say this is not just like a hate list. I'm not going like super negative here.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of that.
I mean, creatives can get real punchy. Over time, you get beat down by the world. And you
It
get
is a thing that creatives start off all wide-eyed,
just
idealistic,
just sweet.
and then you get paid, and you're like, this changes things.
Yeah. Then you got to take yourself seriously.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you got to start responding to the market.
Hmm.
And the market, she is brutal.
Well, but you're also part of the market, and so I think this is a good conversation to have because, look, media, photos, video, especially these days, is what everybody's talking about. It's the thing everybody wants to do, and so I think that you've come up with some good thoughts here on how to engage creative services to get what your business needs.
So one of the things we talk about is that most business owners, when you're not in the creative industry, if you approach the creative industry, you are thinking like a business owner. You're thinking about end game. You're thinking about, I got to put $1 in, and I got to figure out what I'm going to get on that back side. I'm going to have some people. I'm going to need them to promises.
You want this one?
Sure. We'll just share one. It would be-
I thought about it.
All right.
So to recap, we're talking
Audio
from TK's
problems.
point of view on how to engage with
Yes.
creative businesses. How does your business come in and engage with a creative business? Part of the creative business is that there's constant creating,
Yeah.
and so what you're seeing at this moment is how the creating happens. Sometimes that's a
Yeah.
messy process.
This right now is about creative problem solving.
What this really gives credit to are two things in my mind.
Go
One,
on.
morning radio show hosts.
Oh,
They show
man.
up and things just work.
Yeah.
They've figured it out. And local TV.
Shout out to those AV professionals out there.
Shout out to the local weatherman, Shel Winkley here in Bryan College Station.
Shel Winkley.
He shows up and just gets the job done.
Yeah, God bless him.
Real pro.
Okay, so as I was saying, there is a thing that when a business owner comes in and they approach the creative industry, whether it's for like design or photo or video or whatever, they're typically thinking about what do I get on the backside. this is not how the creative industry thinks. They think, okay, where are we going and what's the journey about? And how do we get it? How do we do better? How do we problem solve? How do we iterate? How do we, and so there, it's a lot more fluid in its nature. Okay, so design services sometimes to a creative, they will feel like that business owner is trying to make them into a commodity. Now, there's lots of hot topics around AI. There's lots of conversation about what's the price of a thing really worth. When you got this machine learning in there, you get all of this. That's all true, and we're not going to tackle all of that today. But we are going to talk about what it is like to engage with the creative industry. All right, so we might get one day into what creative services are, but it's not today. So we're going to go through. Here is a rattled off list of things that creative services are not. All right.
All right.
Number one. You want me to take it?
Yeah, you go for it.
Number one, I've already mentioned it. We're not a commodity. Design is a unique combination of 100 small decisions built for a unique client trying to accomplish an extremely specific goal.
So you're saying I can't just come into Fidelis and say, I'll take this off of the shelf, please,
Right.
and put it in my business and make it work.
Yeah. Same thing. You can't walk into a TXFW and be like, hey, make me a commercial and I want it done tomorrow. And that's all I know. There's like a give and take. There's a whole lot of conversation that has
I don't
to
know. I
happen.
might try to figure that out. Like if the budget's
You would
right
do it.
and I've got I got a little space, I might be like, giddy up.
Yeah.
See what
You
we
got
can do.
some gusto on it. I like
Let's
that.
see what we could do.
That's good.
The second thing is a vanity purchase, right? I think a lot of times business owners and people that run brands want their personality, they want their own touch on something, and so sometimes it might be I want my marketing or my logo or this video to really go out and make me feel good or make me look good in front of my friends or whatever. And it's not that, right? A good creative buy, a video, a logo, a marketing plan, ad buy, whatever that is, needs to push a brand forward. You do need to put $1 in and expect to get something back out of it.
That's true. So good creative is meant to execute. It's meant to accomplish things, right? That's good. The next one I've got is that it is not subjective or art. Art, at least to most creatives, holds a special place. You go look up the definition of art, and it says something about it is explicitly meant to beautify, to make beautiful. That's not usually attached to $1. That's not usually attached to execution or need or purpose. It is meant to just be beautiful, right? To express. In the creative industry, these works of our hands and our minds are, while they can be beautiful and while they typically come out of artists, they're meant to do something. They're meant to be purposeful. And so it's not, you don't have to come in with the estimation that, oh, this is going to be like some artistic person who's going to really try to really pull the wool over my eyes and get me to create something that's stupid. It's like, no, you actually can come in with some sort of a purpose for the pieces being created.
Yeah. I'll say the last thing in my mind that a creative service is not. Actually, let me add on to the art thing. I'm listening to this book on Spotify. If you didn't know, Spotify Premium, there's a ton of audiobooks included.
Yeah.
It's changed my commute,
Revolutionary.
my 10 to 15 minute commute in town. Listening to this book called Mastery.
Okay.
And it's demystifying the idea of what it takes to master a subject. I'm early on in the book. Great read. Listen, rather. But one of the things they're talking about is these masters of the past, these artistic masters. They weren't these geniuses that just stepped into an art studio and immediately could capture the essence of what it means to be a human or what it means for the physical to interact with the heavenly, right?
Okay.
They instead started out as craftsmen. So they honed and perfected their craft, and then that allowed them to enter into this season of life where they could look at a problem, they could look at a situation, they could look at a portrait, and they allowed you to see something deeper than what the portrait was. And so into that, I would say creative services aren't cheap. Okay. I tend to harp on this. Look, if you need something done and your budget is only capable of hiring a college student, by all means go hire that college student, right? Go do
Yeah.
it. But set a budget and approach it like that. Don't say, "Hey, let me give you some exposure here. This is going to be good for you." That's not a great way to approach somebody that you would like to build a relationship with. Creatives get burnt out. They get used in this way a lot. Like, hey, you do this video and all my clients are going to see it and I'll come back to you and pay you the next time around. Look, this very rarely happens. People come in it with a good thought in mind, but remember, it's not cheap. Set some budget aside. And even if your budget is X dollars and you wish it was 10X those dollars, just be true to that budget of X, but realize spend that and get what you can from that. I think that's something that I would encourage people to do.
There's a bigger conversation there around AI and the bottom line, but that I feel like I need to prepare for that a little bit better.
Yeah, I
before we
know
just
the
throw that around.
Fidelis shop is not a fan of the AI.
No, we think of it as a tiger that we want to shoot.
Yeah, the more I interact with AI, the less impressed I am, and the more terrified I am. Because people are racing out into this thing. They want it to be everything they want it to fill all the gaps. They want it to engage with everything they need it to do. And one, it's not ready for that. And two, it's just kind of bad at the things it does. Even.
Right. Yeah.
Some of it is like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is not great.
It kind of goes to that idea of mastery. It is possibly overcoming the hurdles and the obstacles of mastering a skill or a trade, but it's not overcoming that mastery that's needed to be able to express something that is deeper or more inside, more human, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's a conversation for later. That's exciting.
Can I tell you? Can I tell you a quick story that's happening from my team live? Via
Like
text?
right now?
This is happening right now.
Okay.
Employee 1. Hey, y'all who are mostly dads, what do I do if there's a bird stuck in my dryer right now? Dryer vent, I should say. Employee 2, the youngest dad on staff. Great question. As the most experienced dad, he's not. Try and catch it in a pillowcase. Employee 2, not a dad. Will be someday, I'm sure. Do you by chance have a net? Employee 3, the most experienced dad of all of us. Is it in the pipe between the dryer and the vent and the roof, or is it just chilling out in the dryer? This is
drum.
the appropriate dad
That's
question.
a great question.
Is it in the dryer, or is it in the pipe that connects to the outside? Original employee with the bird problem. It's in the pipe thing, I think.
Turn the dryer on.
That's a great thought. I suggested pull the dryer away, put a leaf blower on it, and just eject the bird from the vent.
That's good.
This might not be the best solution, but
You turn that dryer on, it'll get out in a hurry.
it's going to get cooked.
If it's
smell like-
actually stuck.
It's going to smell like KFC in your house.
What's the downside?
We're going to get canceled for this.
That's pretty good. Maybe we could do like a whole "this is happening right now" segment.
This is like
That's pretty good.
it's actually happening right now.
If you're
with
out
my
there
team.
and you're listening and you need a solution for a bird in your dryer vent right now in the moment, I say just turn it on.
I want to know
That's
what
me.
if anybody's out there and you do this actively, let's see. I'm going to tell them just turn it on. Let's
see what happens.
I'm going to do it.
Roll those dice.
Yep. I'll report back next week.
Yeah. It depends if it's actually stuck and there against its will, or is it there willfully? Because we can fight against a bird's will, right? All right, I'm going to move on. Segment number 2, wherein I ask a random question from the internet of Andrew. So here's what I've got. This is actually kind of a composite thing that came from a variety of different forums that I'm on. But here's how I'm going to.
You read it.
Reddit, is
X.
of X. Facebook is actually. Do you know that's still a platform people are on?
My mom's on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Like, play words with friends with her. It's great. Okay, so hey, you've seen a lot of starter uppers and comers in your business, in your years of doing this thing. How do you think it plays out for somebody who's a starting up and comer today? Like this market, 2024, somebody comes and says, "Hey, I want to be a videographer, so I'm out there freelancing." What do you think is going to happen?
First, I say good luck.
Okay,
I think
and you mean that sincerely?
I do mean that sincerely.
Okay.
I was thinking back. You and I both started doing creative stuff. You were in the wedding world before I was really in the video world, right? But I was thinking, were there this many creatives when we were starting to do this stuff, circa 2008?
I got yelled at by a local creative when I started.
Why?
An older guy. I was eating at Hunan Chicken Buffet,
Yep.
and this guy comes in and he's got a logo that says something something photography, and I said, "Hey, I want to be a photographer. I've started shooting weddings. I just wanted to say hi. I wanted to connect with the local industry," and he let me have it.
Oh.
He was not having a good day, and he was like, he called me a bad name. He called me a bad name. He was a total stranger. And he was like, "You kids are all messing it up. Y'all don't know what it takes. You don't know what this is like. You don't know how much to charge. You come in here and you undercharge everything. You're ruining the industry." And this was like, I mean,
And looking back, was he right? Were you undercharging?
I mean, at that point I was, because I didn't know. I
Sure.
mean, he was right.
Sure.
This was at the turn of film to digital.
Okay.
And so he was shooting film, and I think he was pissed off at the digital revolution,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So no, that's a good point. I
Not
don't know.
the right way to handle that.
How do I make predictions here? Prediction one: they're all going to undercharge. You're going to
Okay.
go out. You're going to undercharge. You're not going to know what you're doing. Okay, but that's fine. This is a thing you've done. This is a thing
Yeah.
I've done. I think it's just part of the process, right?
I would say that it is still undercharging even from when I started. I would say it's closer to appropriate because you pay for what you get,
Yeah,
but I was still under what they were getting.
absolutely. I would say. I guess you're wanting to make some predictions. I guess I thought about some like tips for what
Yeah.
I would tell myself at that age.
That's
Number
great.
one, go make money. Making stuff is cool. I love the idea of making stuff. You learn more about yourself though when you're out there and you're forced to deliver to a client. You have a budget, you have a deadline, you maybe lose a little sleep because you don't know what you're doing, and you just go out and do it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big deal. TikTok, I don't get it. I don't.
Just blanket statement.
Look, blanket statement. I don't get it.
That's good.
But if you're getting into the business and you're under the age of 25 at this point, you better understand it. You better know your market. You better know how to get out there and get to it. Because in a few years, there's going to be something else. There will be another platform. Everybody thought Facebook was going to be what we used for forever, at least when you and I were coming up in this business.
Yeah.
And it was. And then other things came along. And it will change again. So you have to be
Yeah.
able to adapt and change. I think the biggest thing, though, and this goes to the point you made, that I would say is don't be afraid to work for someone for a season. It's really exciting in the creative business to say, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. Okay. And
Go for it.
maybe you're going to be great at that, right?
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to go and work for somebody that has done the thing for many, many, many years and learn as much as you can. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. One, you're probably making a little bit steadier paycheck than you would on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you're learning the business from somebody who's done it for a long time. And three, you're making some great connections and learning some hard lessons. And it's not you on your own.
I'm often amazed by how many minute details go into a production, whether it's photo or video or even digital or any website, anything like that. It's the tiny, tiny, tiniest stuff, the tips and tricks that you learn, and it just takes time to get those in.
Mm-hmm.
You made a joke this morning about, did you ever want to pursue media and just dream about chasing down one little screw or bolt? Like, how much of the world is that? Knowing, oh, that little thing goes right there, and that'll change the whole production.
Nothing in the creative industry will prove you don't know what you're doing or weren't prepared like a client shoot.
Oh man, I the alternate way of asking this question, by the way, that I didn't want to throw either you or me under the bus is, when in your life were you just dumb enough to succeed?
Oh man.
Because there's like a little bit of that.
You and I had a line we used back in the day that we were just professionally messing around.
Yeah.
It was the idea of, I don't know how to do this, but I can probably figure it out.
Yeah.
And we stumbled our way into some wins and into some pretty big failures as well.
You know, I learned a lesson from a guy. I don't know that I want to give him credit or not, but it's really just the ability to say yes and then figure it out. Confidently say yes. Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah.
So
There was a project you and I did. Client doesn't matter. But effectively, there were 7 startup companies, and we were tasked with making a promotional video for 7 different companies that were all due on the same day for a live event. Okay.
see, I feel like we charged appropriately for that. I mean, that was like a sweet $400. That was like,
Yeah. It was
good money.
It was nice. What we didn't know walking into that, though, is that, hey, now we have 7 independent clients that are all going to want something different.
Yeah.
And 2, we didn't really know how to tell company or brand stories at that point. We were just fumbling our way through it.
Yeah.
Had some ideas.
we knew how to tell some stories.
Yeah, but not to
like
the
that.
level that was required for that. Yeah.
By the end of it, we did.
By the end of it, we knew we didn't charge nearly enough for this, and we didn't give ourselves enough time.
Yeah.
And then we gave the clients way too much freedom to sort of dictate what we were doing
To mess
in
with
a
us,
season that was that we didn't have that sort of that ability to go with the flow and make changes like that.
You know what's I know the job you're talking about, and one weird outcome of that is I actually made a lot of friends during that whole thing. Like years later, I'm still having lunches with some of those clients.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts.
All right, so
Good
I
folks.
did. I'm going to come back to the text chain here with the
Okay.
dryer. Somebody's phone has fully got an alarm going off.
Multiples.
We're just going to press on. I told the employee to turn the dryer on.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see how serious that bird is at gaining its freedom. And everybody's freaking out at this reaction. I also said get a leaf blower and blow it out of the house.
There you go.
The older dad agrees with me on that one. So
The leaf blower?
Yeah, I think we're
I
going
went
to
a
get
little.
some.
I went a little extreme on that.
Turn the dryer on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suggested it. We'll see if it happens.
A dryer is basically a blower.
Yeah, but it's a slow.
It's a cozy.
It's not great.
it's a
And it's
cozy
probably
cookie.
kind of humid at first, and then it dries out.
Yeah.
Look, in the interest of not taking this show much past 9 o'clock,
Go for it.
can I tell you a story
Please.
to kind of close us out? Tuesday mornings is a time my wife and I set aside. We call it date morning. It really just involves we go on a walk together. We discuss things that we don't normally have time or the energy to talk about at night. And we just kind of are away from the kids as they get their morning routine going. It gives us, an hour and a half to get moving. So we'll leave the house around 5 a.m. and go for a walk. What I learned about my wife this morning is that she's like a Disney princess on walks. The woodland creatures come out to greet her as she walks. She's seen foxes, she's seen raccoons, she's
What?
seen lots of birds, but who she sees the most is Mr. Skunk, as she has dubbed him. Now, Mr. Skunk will interact with us sometimes, right? But it's typically from a distance. We'll see a skunk, 50 to 100 yards in the distance, and I'm like, I'm going to wait for the skunk to cross the road, and then I'll continue on. Well, this morning we're both walking. It's like 5:15, and I'm pretty much still dead asleep, and I'm not really paying attention. She's got her eyes on a swivel though. Disney princess. She wants to meet her friends. All of a sudden, not kidding you, less than 10 feet in front of us, a skunk jumps out of a bush and is just standing there. Now, I don't notice the skunk. My wife does, and she promptly pivots and sprints the other direction. And then I see the skunk right there beginning to turn. I don't know if it's going to run away or try to spray us. I also ran. We did not get sprayed by a skunk, but it was a terrifying moment, and I have been very awake ever since that moment.
I love this mental picture of your wife just being like ah, and like singing to these creatures, and they like the birds come in a light on her arms.
It is the way that she interacts with the woodland creatures in the Culpeper area of Bryan, Texas.
I have to know though, like when she pivoted on her heel and ran the other way, how bad did she cuss?
No cursing.
No cursing.
No cursing. She wanted to know afterwards if she ran faster than me or if I overtook her. She ran
Oh,
track
she
in high
wanted it-
school, and I'm
She went
not
competitive.
I'm not built for running. I'll lift a heavy thing.
Did you though?
I ran.
Did you overtake her?
I don't think so. I'm going to give her the win.
She's pretty
I
fast.
did tell her though that if
Swift.
she ever gets sprayed by a skunk, she's not allowed in the house until it's
Oh,
been
yeah.
neutralized.
Yeah,
just
you
not-
live
we're
at. We'll get you a tent.
We're not playing that game.
Huh.
Man,
Hey, thanks for being here.
thanks for having me on live from the bunker
Man.
yet again.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Macy, thank you. Thank you for letting me steal your microphone. We'll get you mic'd up next week, I think. All right. Well, to all you folks out there, God bless, and have a good week.